the Apache Junction City Council meeting. The invocation will be by Vice Mayor Rizzi, and the pledge will be by Councilman Robert Schroeder.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, okay.
We all square? Heavenly Father, as we're gathered here this evening to make decisions for the city on behalf of our constituents, we ask for your guidance, Father, in that we make our decisions without any arrogance or ego. Father, we thank you for the beautiful weather that we've had. We ask that we're humble in any of our disagreements. We ask that you keep our first responders and our servicemen and women safe and bring them home safe each and every day. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Wilson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi,
Present.
Councilmember Biggs,
Present.
Councilmember Evans,
Here.
Councilmember Gremmel,
Here.
Councilmember Nesser,
Present.
Councilmember Schroeder.
here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Consent agenda. As a reminder, all items under the consent agenda will be approved with one motion. If a council member wishes to remove an item for further discussion, the request will be made prior to approving the consent agenda and will be moved to new business. Do I have a motion on consent agenda?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi,
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs,
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel,
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously, Your Honor.
Okay, we got some graduation certificates to be given to the Citizens Leadership Group. Al?
Good evening, Mayor Wilson, members of the City Council, Al Bravo, Public Information Officer for the City of Apache Junction, and as you probably know, this is one of the highlights of my year because I get to come up here and introduce the people who are going to try to take your job someday. Just kidding.
Okey doke.
Have at it.
Maybe not. I actually get to introduce to you folks who are going to be part of the next class of leaders for our community, and hopefully, and some of them already are. If you will look out and see some of the names that are going to come up on the screen here. You're going to see folks who are already serving on some of our city boards and commissions and a few other places throughout the community. I do want to just very briefly talk about what I'm going to present to you tonight. I actually have two classes of Citizen Leadership Institute graduates because, as you know, of course, we've gone through quite a bit over the last 2 years between pandemic and whatnot, and so the class of 2020 was actually interrupted. So we did the first half of the class through March, and then everything kind of shut down, as you may remember, and some hard diehards stuck it out and came back in November and December when we resumed the class so they could be completed. And then we had, of course, our regular class starting in January, so from January to April, the class of 21, but we also changed that up by bringing it into the council chambers. We made it a live-streamed class so people could watch it on Wednesday nights when it was happening, but you could also watch it after the fact. So we have some real committed folks. They committed to the class, they committed to learning, they asked a lot of great questions, and they certainly have aspirations to want to serve this community, represent this community, and lead this community farther into the 21st century. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring up folks who are with us from the class of 2020, like I said, that did complete the class that started back in January of 2020, a year and a half ago, but did finish in December, so they can come up and have a picture with the mayor. So, class of 2020.
this area.
Come on down.
Yeah.
Who can I hide behind? I don't want a photo bomb here. Where can I go? I can go behind. Yeah.
You won't think
Couple of you guys
job,
got
guys.
rabbit ears.
And now, the class of 2021, please come up.
Oh, that's a big class. That was a fun class. It was neat. It was
you want
fun.
me in here.
Al, did you tell them that we gave a couple of them rabbit ears?
Doing that again?
No, we're trying to hide. Yeah, we're trying to. We're trying to.
Trying to hide.
Caitlin.
What a class! Look at this. Nice, nice. I think I can go here.
Back a little.
I'm actually in the class. I told him I didn't want to be in the picture. I wasn't really attending the class to be attending.
Our newest set of graduates of the Citizen Leadership Institute, which, as Councilman Nesser will tell you, who was part of the class of 2021, thank you, Councilman, is now 2 decades on and rolling, 20 years, right, Tess? 20 years plus of citizen leadership classes. And like I said, we want to thank everybody who makes that everything possible. You, all of our department directors that present every week during those classes, and of course the city manager's office for allowing us to put that on every week or every year. And I will remind everybody that come the fall, you will see more information on the class of 2022, which will start in January as always, and likely will be right here in the council chambers. Thank you.
Thank you, Al.
Thanks, Al.
Okay, announcement of current events from council members. Right?
Yeah. So first off, thank you to, and congratulations to both classes. Just remember, there's more opportunity to volunteer outside of being on our city boards and commissions. We have the school board, our fire board, plenty of community nonprofits, tons of opportunities to serve. So please do get involved. You're all out here to represent our city. So over the weekend, of course, being Memorial Day weekend, VFW Post 7968 served as the community host post, along with VFW Post 9399 and the other veteran organizations to put on some really great Memorial Day tributes and remember the soldiers who did not come home. This was from Saturday, the whole weekend's blending in Saturday, was it?
5 to 7.
Sunday. From Sunday's events at Mountain View Cemetery, just in Mesa there, with the flag folding ceremony is this one, and then, I don't know, yep. Here are all of the various wreaths that were laid and things. Just a really wonderful ceremony. And then yesterday on Memorial Day, both VFW Post 7968 and 9399 held events at each one of their locations. And just really went out and did a really great job. So just want to thank them for that. And then this weekend is the monthly First Friday and First Saturday. And a really cool thing is this time around, we're actually celebrating the 1-year anniversary of this. So it got started a year ago and it's grown ever since then. Please come out Friday, June 4th from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. and then Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And on Saturday, there's going to be a dunk tank that's happening, and between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m., yours truly will be in that dunk tank. So if I've pissed anybody off enough yet, come throw a ball at me and dunk me. It's $1 for ball, $5 for 6 balls, or $20 for an automatic dunk. The money is being raised for the AJ Mounted Rangers, so I am actually donating $100 personally to that, and I've set a goal for that hour of $350 altogether to raise in addition to my $100. So I need 12 people during that hour to come out and dunk me automatically, and I kind of want to throw that out to council and challenge council, come dunk me and come out and enjoy a really great community weekend. And then the next day at the same plaza, which is the East Valley Shopping Center, is the very first farmers market here in the community. So here's a couple different things, from small bags of $10 all the way up to large bags of $30 of various produce and things. And this is going to be a weekly event starting June 6th. So please come out and support that. A really great opportunity there. So thank you.
Gail, do you have anything?
Yes, I do. And Al, do you have the pictures up?
Which one's it? This one?
Yes.
Oh, it's,
They're right next to it. Keep going.
yep, go ahead,
Okay.
Councilmember Evans.
Okay. The Apache Junction Community Development Corporation just finished a cleanup on this particular home in the Smythe neighborhood. Once again, it was a code compliance case, and the people did not have the ability and or the funds to clean their property up anymore. And as you can see on the overhead, it was quite a project. When we finished, we actually, to the right of where all of the debris is and the fence, I hope you're looking at the same picture I am, where that's a city alley, and the weeds were my waist high, might be someone else's knee high, but it was up to my waist. And we cleaned the alley as well, because on the other side of the alley, there's another property with a whole lot of abandoned cars and trucks parked there. This project was number 12. So far we've cleaned up 12 major home projects like this one. We had over 50 man hours and one 40-yard dumpster was filled. Republic Service cut us a commercial break on the dumpsters, but we have to pay for the dumpsters, and that's what our fundraising and everything goes for. So these people didn't have the funds to get rid of it. I do want to mention to everybody, please remember, we now have that once a month bulk pickup, that even if you can't clean up the whole yard, you can start and do bits and pieces at a time. But we had over 50 hours of volunteer hours and an amazing group of youth from the Just Serve, that we couldn't do any of these projects without their help. Every time we give them a shout out, they're there to help us. I think they had 14 youth help us with this particular project, which that goes along with our insurance and everything we have to have so that we can have youth help us clean this up. But everybody wins in this situation. It was just another great project.
Thank you. Robert?
Yeah, I got a couple things. First thing, challenge accepted. I will see you there. And I, too, would like to congratulate the classes of 20 and 2021. I took the class. It inspired me to run, to be up here. I can't wait to see all you guys in one way or another, whether it's on boards or running for council. The city needs people like you guys that have the passion, that will go through the class because you want to get involved. And the more of us that are out there that are willing to get involved to make the city a better place, the city's going to be a better place. So good job, everybody.
Thank you. Kelly?
Mayor, yes, I would just like to let everybody know that, in 2022, the city's celebrating its centennial. So there is going to be a meeting of anybody who's interested in being involved in that group. There's a few of us. We would love to have more. The next meeting is actually going to be this Thursday, June 3rd, I believe. At 6 p.m. at the public library. So we would love to have you all come and help us put this event together, which will actually be on Saturday, January 8th is the date that we're looking at. So come, and that's another way to get involved. Thank you.
Jess?
I also just want to thank everyone who attended the Citizens Leadership Institute. I just graduated, if you will, from this current class, but I actually graduated from the very first class 20 years ago. So it is definitely something that everyone should attend. It gets you involved, or you learn how your city works, and it answers all those questions that everybody assumes something about and is usually wrong about how we operate, how the city operates, all the departments and everything. So please attend Citizens Leadership Institute if you can, and thank you to everyone who did attend that class.
I'll just reiterate, congratulations to the graduates of the CLI class. Same thing, I took the class. Never thought I would get involved in politics, but after taking the class, that's what brought me to serving on many of the city boards, and then to serving on the city council. So thank you for getting involved. Thank you for caring enough to learn more about how the city government works. A lot of times it's not what we think it is until we actually get in there and learn. And so thank you for that, and congratulations to each of you.
And what I'm just going to say is congratulations again. I appreciate that for all of you that took the time to attend and learn more about your community and how your local government works, and we appreciate that. And the other thing is, yes, I was involved in the memorial service, and it was really outstanding event that occurred, and we're of course remembering I'll say our military members and individuals that worked during that period of time that did not come home alive, and they served our country, and we basically are recognizing that, as well as all the families that have lost loved ones through the different type of actions that we were involved. Okay.
Mayor?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to, I didn't know if you were going to just make an announcement about this coming Friday, June 4th at 8 a.m. The City Council is having a strategic planning retreat over at CAC College, and the public is invited.
Yes. Thank you.
It's in the community service. It's in the community center room in the main.
F.
Yeah, it's a building F. It's the new building.
Okay.
There'll be A-frame signs up.
Thank you. Sorry.
All right. City Manager's report.
Thank you, Your Honor. Bryant Powell, City Manager. The City of Apache Junction and our Parks and Recreation Department is very happy, pleased to now share with everyone that the Superstition Shadows Aquatic Center is now open for the 2021 season. The pool opened over the weekend with a family event on Friday night and open swim hours all summer. The pool will still have modified programming with limited open hours, partly because we did not have enough applications for lifeguard and other positions. So very unique opportunity and situation that we're all in at this time. Check out all our things that are going on with the Aquatic Center on our website. We're also happy to announce that the Parks and Recreation Department will be holding and hosting our annual 4th of July celebration at Apache Junction High School football field. Watch for details soon, as soon we'll be getting those out to the community, and we want to express your thanks and patience and gratitude as we work through this transition, and we're really excited to be able to get these two, the great event and also this programming available to our community. And that concludes my report, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. The next four items deal with recreational marijuana, and I will consolidate the public hearing for these items, but motions will have to be done individually. And consideration for resolution number 21-13, amendments to the Apache Junction City Code for medical and recreational marijuana. Consideration for resolution number 2115, amendments to the Apache Junction City Code for non-residential use regulations and definitions. Consideration for a proposal ordinance number 1502, amending the Apache Junction City Code for medical and recreational marijuana. And consideration of ordinance number 1505, amending the Apache Junction City Code with definitions.
All
Yes.
right. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Kelsey Shatnick. I'm a planner on staff. And tonight I have a very brief presentation on the 4 public hearing items relating to recreational marijuana. So tonight we kind of see it as having 3 options. The first is to approve ordinance number 1502 and 1504. These would allow standalone recreational marijuana establishments with a CUP, prohibit testing facilities, and then adopt related definitions. And this was the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation, and that's how these 2 ordinances were drafted. The second would be to take no action and keep medical marijuana regulations as is. This would mean that there'd be no language specifically on recreational marijuana in the zoning ordinance, but any applicant that would like to allow that use would appeal to the Board of Adjustment. And then the third option would be a potential new direction to staff. This would be whatever you guys were considering, whether that would be to prohibit standalone recreational marijuana establishments, prohibit or allow testing facilities, or other possible text amendments.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I could add one clarification on item number 2, the no action item, you would still have to make motions for each item to table them. So that if you wanted to take action on number 2, would be to table them. That would be the motion.
Okay. Do I have any discussion from council?
Your Honor?
Okay, Gail, go ahead.
Well, I don't have any problem with the P&Z recommendations other than they denied the lab testing, and I don't see why we couldn't allow that in our industrial area as any other chemical lab. That's just my thought.
Depending on which version we go with, if we ended up going with version 2 or version 1 or version 2, I have a couple small minor text changes that I can bring up later. I do want to clarify 2 different things though. So if council denies the P&Z recommendations, then Development Services wants council to make an additional motion that puts in language that bans them altogether. Is that my understanding?
So I did include that in the staff report as an option. They are kind of different. So if you don't want to allow them, we recommend possibly directing us to include that in the zoning ordinance, but that's up to you guys.
But by doing that, that takes away the business's ability to appeal to the Board of Adjustments, correct? Because there's council's ordinance that says we don't want them at all, as opposed to right now, even if we denied it, it would be a zoning administrator decision, which would then go to Board of Adjustment should somebody want to dispute it.
If you put it in the text, I believe it would prohibit them from entering the city and opening a business, yes.
Is that your understanding, Joel?
Can you restate your question?
Yeah, so if council denies version 2, which is what Planning and Zoning, the Planning and Zoning Commission is asking us to approve, if we deny that, it's my understanding that the additional language, well, if we just denied it and did not include the additional language, then should a recreational business want to come into the city, they can appeal because it's a zoning administrator decision, which then if they appeal it, they go to the Board of Adjustments, they decide we move forward. If that language, if we deny it and add the language saying we do not want it at all, it then becomes city ordinance, which there is no denial. So we are taking away the business's ability to appeal to have recreational marijuana.
Yes, but I have to clarify part of that. You said denied P and Z. Technically, that's not the correct terminology. P and Z has made a recommendation. You can accept it or not accept it. However, if you don't take action on it and you decide that you would like to just as is, correct? Then I would say, and you don't say that it's restricted, then I think it'd be up to the Development Service Director to say no, and then you are correct. It would go to the Board of Adjustment to interpret that.
But if we add that language, there is no appeal.
Correct. If you add it to the code saying they are prohibited, then that's correct. It does not go to the Board of Adjustment.
Thank you. And the second piece of clarification that I need is in terms of down south. So we've talked a lot about future growth and per se opening the floodgates, but based off information that we've now seen, it's prohibited down south anyway. So we're really only talking about Apache Junction in its current state now and allowing it in current Apache Junction. Am I correct in that?
I believe yes, because it will not, as of right now, it will not be allowed down south.
And down south, do you mean the current city limit boundaries? Or do you mean some additional boundaries that we're talking about later?
Some additional boundaries that we're talking about later.
Okay. So the way that would work is there'll be a zoning code that gets approved with that zoning. And that would have a matrix of whether the medical marijuana or recreational marijuana facilities are allowed. And right now, the staff is still working on that matrix, but I believe the intent was to prohibit medical marijuana. And I believe, and I haven't talked to the planners, but I believe it's also to prohibit recreational.
So
Rudy might have more information on that,
okay.
on the matrix. But right now, if you pass the law right now, it would, if you say anywhere within the city limits, then that's okay. Then it doesn't matter really what the MPC would say, because it would, your ordinance would take priority over that.
That would be any city boundaries, present or future?
Correct.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, staff is currently working with the developer of the properties to the south of Elliott, which are proposed to be annexed here in the very near future, we hope. And one of the annexed property will have its own zoning matrix. Kind of like our zoning ordinance now has a residential section, commercial section, industrial section. The MPC, the master plan community, will have its own zoning matrix, and we are proposing to not allow recreational or medical in the matrix of the MPC. That has yet to be adopted by you, but that is what we are proposing.
And you're making that proposal based on a recommendation from the developer or who?
Well, we have, as we do with any code, with any ordinance, with any development, we go back and forth, we negotiate. The developers are here tonight, and I don't know if they want to speak on this issue, but so far they have not objected to prohibiting medical or recreational in that area.
Okay, and I thank you for that clarification, because that's actually very important in our decision, and I feel that we probably need to pursue a little bit more conversation. Frankly, I'm glad that it's been put off a little bit to hear this, because I know what it does in my mind. It draws some concerns. If that's how they're seeing things, and we could potentially inhibit development, we need to have that conversation. And so I'm glad that it's been put off a little bit.
Well, from the very beginning, no surprise where I stand on the issue. And you throw in the developer's proposal, what we don't want is the tale of two cities, right? We don't want the old and the new. We are one city, and we should act like it. If the proposed ordinance, which again, it's not in stone, it's nothing, it's just out there, is that anything down south should prohibit it, I believe we should carry that into everything, the rest of the city limits. I personally feel like, I've said it 100 times, we're a small city, we have two, that's plenty. We should start shaping our city in a way that we want it to be perceived here in the next 10 years. We start opening the door for, now they have like a testing, and then they have a cultivation, and now, of course, there's the dual licensing. What's next? And we don't want to be known as the Vegas Strip of marijuana testing, cultivating, and distributing. So where I stand on this issue is that we put language in that prohibits any further testing, cultivating, distribution of medical or recreational marijuana.
Your Honor? Here's where I struggle with the issue. I'm going to clarify again for public. Several of us on the council were on planning and zoning when medical marijuana came to this city. So before anybody gets the idea that we're against marijuana, recreational, or medical, that's not true, because 3 of us, in fact, fought to ensure we had a facility here in Apache Junction to make that available to our community members. Here's where I struggle. We have a segment of our community in state and really in our nation that has not gotten on board yet with medical marijuana, let alone recreational. Now, I know that I understand that it's been voted in statewide, but that's not to say the majority of our residents here in Apache Junction were in favor of it. My concern is, as we continue to grow and try to shape our community, we talk about cleaning up properties and whatnot. My concern is perception. And frankly, in the 25 going on 30 years that I've lived here, I'm just about done with Apache Junction being the butt of jokes. Dysfunction Junction, drug community, meth town. I'm tired of it. And are we? I don't believe that we are, but there's a perception there that we still have to get over. There's a hill that we have to get over. So as long as we have people that still view medical marijuana and recreational marijuana as something with a negative stigma and connotations that come with it, how are we shaping our community in the minds of people? And that's my concern. It's not that I have a problem with it per se, an issue of these facilities or the small amount of tax revenue it could generate. It's the perception of our community. And when we have a developer that has the same concern, that speaks volumes to me. And so we have an obligation to shape our community, and sometimes that means to stand firm and say no. This is something that we can come back on down the road if the community says 5 years from now, by golly, we want one on every corner like Circle K. Fine, we can come back and change that. I don't think we're there yet, perception-wise. And I'm tired of I'm tired of being the butt of jokes. I want our community to shine. We are a great community. We're a generous community. And I don't want to be this this perception that some people continue to have. And so I think we got to shape it and change it. And I think this is one of the times where we just need to say, we have enough for now. We'll continue to revisit. And as the community says, hey, by golly, this is what we want, then we get on board and go with it. And that's where my struggle is, guys.
Your Honor. Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, we are literally at a fork in the road. I mean, this community and this city is going to start to evolve in a way that none of us could imagine 10 years ago. And we have an issue in front of us right now that can take that one direction or another. And I agree with Vice Mayor Rizzi that we could always come back and revisit this. We could always say, okay, I see it. Let's lift that language. But for now, we're at the starting line of a community that's getting ready to expand immensely. Let's not inhibit its growth in its reputation by, this is really a bad time, if you think about it, for this to actually come across because of what's happening. But I say let's keep our language where we're good with what we got, and if we want to open it back up down the road, we can. And if it's not us, just one of you citizen leadership people are going to be up here revisiting this thing, right? And you're gonna say yes, let's go for it.
And Mayor, I think that's why it's so important to, if we left it as is, to not include that additional language, because again, if any business wants to come into this community, then they have to look to see if it's appropriate or not, and if they really want to go through the appeals process, then we're giving them the ability to do it. We may get 6 businesses that go through that appeals process and realize, hey, we might be wrong, we might want to look at it, we might not have any in 5 years, but go from there. So I think we can postpone it, but keep the fact that they can appeal it, should they want to.
Mayor?
Just a second, Tess.
Well, I already spoke 2 weeks ago when I said we should just table it and let it die. You know, leave it alone.
Kelly?
Mayor, I would just say, I'm not a proponent of letting it die. I really feel option 2 is basically keeping us silent as a council and then letting some board of adjustment make that determination. And I think that we should be making that determination. So I'm following with what the vice mayor says and Councilmember Schroeder, and I think we have enough for now. If we want to come back and visit it, we can certainly do that.
Gail?
Well, that's what I was trying to get clarified, that you don't want to do anything at all. Just let all of our options go. Am I hearing that correctly?
I don't think so. No. What you're hearing is some of us are considering putting language in our zoning to prohibit any type of testing, cultivating, or distribution of marijuana of any kind in the city limits.
Yeah.
Okay, but so what you're saying is then you want one of the options, you don't want to just table it.
Well, I think we're getting a little split right now, I think, and I think the new direction to staff would be what I am leaning towards, to put language in, and I do agree with Councilmember Gremmel that, I mean, we need to be definitive here. We need to take a stand and do something. We just can't keep passing the buck and let someone else take care of it down the road. We need to, do something, and we're in a position to do it. So I say we do it.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I think I have a better idea now of what you're saying. And I agree to the point that it is up to the council to make a decision. To just let it willy-nilly go by, to me, is not what we're there for. Now, I understand why a master plan community would have limitations on something like this, because their commercial zones are even different than what we have already in our city. I mean, they're just well planned out. My struggle is because it is a voter-approved business. I just cannot see saying no. Whether you think this is the only thing that's going to make our community get rid of the negative stuff, it's not.
Well, no.
And they're not going to be on every corner. There's only 23 in the entire state going to be issued? And there's some communities that don't even have a medical one, and they get priority over us. So, you know, we could all debate this until the cows come home. But I think it's wrong to deny a legitimate business. We wouldn't deny another liquor store or another bar. And in a marijuana facility, you can't even use the product there. You have to go home. So I think it's very judgmental, and I don't think we're there to be the moral conscience of the entire city, since the entire state voted on this as legal. So I don't know. With that, Mayor, I guess all I can say is, can you call for a motion?
Your Honor.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Robert.
Where do I start? So it's not, Gail, we're not trying to, you know, clean up the image of the city in one policy decision, but you started somewhere. Now this law that just passed, I mean, it's new. It's the whole recreational thing new. I mean, you say, well, we don't know what to expect. You say, oh, there's only 23 allowed in the state. Well, I guess then the lottery is for the roads and the schools, right? I mean, for all we know, 3 years down the road, it's just the floodgates open on this thing. And we don't want to get stuck as one of the only cities in the valley that just come on in. And about your master plan community comment, I understand that too, but we have to be cohesive as a city. We can't be split. If we can't say, okay, north of baseline it's all good, but south of baseline it's not. You know, we must, I believe, be
and I've
cohesive.
said that all along, and I was told on council that the north end will never look like the south end.
Well,
And
that's
I've
us, isn't it?
insisted they can both look good, but to me, it's just short-sighted to just say no and see. Let's throw it on someone else's plate 5 years from now.
Mayor.
Your Honor. I have to agree with Councilmember Gremmel. Gail, initially I was for tabling it and taking no action, and I have to agree with Councilmember Gremmel in not kicking the can down the road, not putting this. Absolutely, the council needs to be decisive, and I have to go with Councilmember Schroeder. I think, for me, what really caused me to be much more decisive in the prohibition part right now is this master plan from the developer. The developer is seeing, these guys work together, and they're seeing things that we're not seeing. And we have an obligation as a city council to shape this community for down the road, to not just, you know, make decisions for the here and the now, but for down the road, 5 years, 10 years. We need to be looking down the road. How is our city going to look? How are future council members can come and revisit this? For right now, I don't think this was lousy timing for us as we're growing, lousy. But I have to go with the two council members that commented. I've really been changed from taking no action to being very decisive.
No, we have to take action. There's no question on that. We would be negligent if we didn't take an action.
Robert?
Now, this is a public hearing. Before we make a motion, should we ask anybody?
Oh, yes.
Come on up.
We need to hear from the public.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, once we get done with our comments.
Well,
then
sure, yeah.
Then I can.
Well, I
open
didn't
up the
know when to
public
throw out a
hearing.
motion real quick before the public had a chance. Hang
We
on,
can
sir. Yeah,
we
yeah.
can still hear from the public and then have comments after the discussion or after the public comments. So
Yeah.
So,
I'm good with opening it up to the.
okay, so this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak on this item? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Matthew Bolt, and I'm a resident of Apache Junction. I do not agree with marijuana. We can be leaders and not be followers. we can be leaders and lead in a different direction and still be very successful. It's okay to say no at some things if we don't want it. And I don't want to see it in my future, my children or their children. There's plenty of other cities in Arizona that people can go use marijuana medically or what's the other word? Recreational. So I don't agree with it. I don't think we need it. I've had friends and family that have also grew up using it, and now they came to the realization that it's not for them, it doesn't benefit them, and I'm just not for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Schroeder.
Did he give his name and address?
Oh, yeah. Name and address.
George Schroeder, 244 West Virginia Street. The druggies have won. My neighborhood is absolute proof. Yes, we have a reputation. We've always had it. We're going to continue to have it until people like my neighbor, 2468, are taken care of and getting removed from our neighborhood. We have a situation again and again. 6 times, 6 years. Now she went to the nut house. Now she's back at her place. The house is completely surrounded by garbage and clothes. They've won. This is their national holiday. Now, turn the page. Annexation. D.L. Horton comes in there with $260 million from on high and says, we're going to have...
Point of order. Mayor,
Yes.
this is about marijuana, not the annexation down south.
Just hold on. They're going to come in and say that they can do whatever they want. And I've had talks with you before about this. They cannot have their way. We need to show them that this is our rules, our city, our way, or the highway. And I'm right there with that. I have no problem with telling them. I don't know if you noticed. No. So they can't go down and make marijuana however they want it in their what is it going to be, a district of LJ? They can't do that. I'm so against them having their way because they paid so much money. The other one, with the annexation and the marijuana laws and all the other things that are coming, they get another 5,000 acres to do what they want. And they're going to continue to come in under the wire and say that they have the right to make the rules any way they want to. So our police have to be there. Our council has to be there. Our people have to be there. It's our city, our turf. Take it. Do it. Great. Let's make sure they know what we want. Got it?
Anyone else? Name and address.
Caitlin Knox, 2516 West Cactus Run Street. I think I just felt impelled to share the voice that I think many residents of Apache Junction share. This is a very big social issue, I understand that, but the voters have expressed their acceptance of the recreational use of marijuana, and as such, I don't see any type of ordinance to restrict that use or restrict the businesses that want to bring that product, the people who have said that they do want to use it. I think the same, the way that we would never do that, as they said, as I think Councilmember Evans stated before, we wouldn't impose those types of restrictions on bars or liquor stores, and I just don't see the logic that you would impose those types of restrictions on a medical or recreational marijuana facility for testing, lab testing, or cultivation. I mean, if you've ever been inside of a dispensary, those people that are selling you the medicine, they are knowledgeable. They know what strain will help you to relax if you're using it recreationally, or what strain will help alleviate pain. I think there's so many good uses for marijuana, and my own opinion is that it's much healthier to consume marijuana than it is to consume alcohol, and I think that's scientifically proven. That's just my opinion, but I am all for the option 1 as it was proposed before. I think it's important to let businesses sort themselves out. I think with the 23 lottery tickets to be able to open up shop, the likelihood of it being on every corner or even 5 years from now is very low. And even if it is, capitalism will run its course and the good dispensaries will not get business and they'll close down just like any other shop. That's all.
Anyone else?
Dick Cantwell, 3301 South Goldfield. The only thing I would ask is that, given the sentiments that I've heard, do not hang out the Board of Adjustments to dry.
Right.
Okay, if you're going to take no action on this, make sure that you also pass it that you don't want any. Okay, because at P&Z, we didn't know your direction. That's how we came up with what we did. The appeals group, without any direction, could well approve it, and then you have to come back again.
Mahmood Mayuddin, 2341 North Apache Trail. You guys see back in early 30s and 40s, alcohol was not allowed in the United States. And the bootleggers started coming in, start the war and all that stuff. Government could not control them. Then they legalized it to make money. That's how it's working. They cannot control the border. They cannot control the cartels. Let's legalize the marijuana. And then you have to worry about that stuff.
Keep going.
The problem is this one. You guys need to put this one on hold. Colorado legalized it. Walmart offering $25 to $30 an hour. They can fill the bags of groceries. They cannot find. Nobody can pass the drug test. You guys are gonna kill the businesses. If there's somebody coming in with high with marijuana, his employee working on at that location, if he get hurt,
I'll have to dial her back.
if you have an employee at your business and he's high on the marijuana, he get hurt, workman's comp is not going to cover it.
Right.
And the business going to end up in a situation with a lawsuit or some other situation. I know the people, they have a medical card, they go buy medical marijuana, and they're selling on the streets to young children.
Yep.
Just think about your future. Just think about the future generation, what direction is going to go. These kids cannot pass the high school test, cannot get the grades. Where college they going to go? Who's going to give them a scholarship? You go to the hospital, you go to industries in Motorola, you go over to check it out. People are from India, Pakistan, the different countries that are controlling this all. We want to have this country to grow. People can be intelligent, small, grow, and go ahead and then control that country. How long are we going to borrow those people from the other country? Just think about it. What is the best for the country, best for the town, best for the businesses, best for the young generation, and then you guys make the decision. Thank you.
Your Honor, we're going to need to dial back
Okay.
Councilmember Evans.
Hi there.
You're back.
Okay.
All right, does anyone else want to be called to public, want to say anything? Don't see any movement, so I'll close the public portion. Comments from council?
Yes. Al, can we put the three options on the screen, please? Or
Right there.
whomever, sorry. Thank you. So, I agree that it's a really unfortunate sequence of events and how we've gotten to this discussion, because council has kind of kicked this can down the road, and unfortunately now we're here. I think P&Z did put a lot of work into option number one and figuring out what they thought was best, and they recommended a really good option to not restricting businesses and allowing us to grow. And I could see their argument up until I learned about the potential development down south. And that's, I think, where Robert gets in, and I've heard it from a couple of others, and I know I talk a lot about it as well, is the tale of two cities. And we cannot allow our community in any way outside of what it's already going to do to look different than it's going to look different in the fact that we're going to have brand new buildings down there, and older buildings up here, and we have to accept that. But what we don't have to accept is the fact that our two communities don't have to at least follow the same guidelines and at least be as close to possible, or as close with one another as possible. And I think that knowing that those restrictions are in the MPC guidance down there does change my opinion quite a bit as to what we allow on the northern half. Now, that being said, I've been a proponent of the as-is opportunity to bring this back in the future. I'm not for the all-out no from council. There is a reason we have an appeals process. Council sets policy and ordinance and things all the time that our businesses can appeal. We've gone through that process. There's a reason we have the Board of Adjustments. They're a quasi-judicial board that we appoint as council to make those decisions. They don't work for the council. We appoint them. They don't work for the city. They are there as a third party to listen to both sides and act as the judge, jury, and executioner at that point. And if it's still debated, then it goes to the Superior Court. That is the process of the Board of Adjustments. So I am in favor of keeping it as number 2 with no action, and allowing businesses the opportunity to appeal. I'm not about restricting free, legal, valid businesses, and by putting the restriction on it, saying that we're not going to allow it, then at that point, we're never going to allow it.
Your Honor.
All going down one. Gail?
No?
Robert?
We don't by any chance have the matrix on our neighboring cities that prohibit or not prohibit this.
We've seen it.
Well, no one can prohibit it.
Well,
So we have some data that we provided in a prior work session. So some of this is dictated by state law. Kelsey, do you have that handy?
I might.
We have some of that data, yeah.
There we go.
If she has this one. Is that the one you have?
I might have a different one.
Is that it, Joel?
She might have an updated one. Otherwise, we could use this one. Yeah, there it is.
So, allowing testing facilities. Douglas Cottonwood. This isn't the same one that we saw earlier.
So this was provided to you at the work session that we had on May 17th as an attachment. It's something that I put together, so there might be, things might have changed or updated, just so you're
How
aware.
about the one Joel has right there?
This is dated December 4th, 2020. So this one's outdated. I think Kelsey took information from the League of Arizona Cities and Towns.
Okay, all
and
right,
put
I
that-
get
So
you.
this is the more updated one.
So let's take Gilbert, for example. Allow dual licenses, which we do. We have 2 of them here in our city limits.
Right.
But no on the standalones, no on the testing facilities. Come on down, Chandler, no and no, because they have their dual license, but no. My point is that once you get basically, east of downtown Phoenix, they have nowhere to go. They will come here, and to some points about the 23 of them. Well, they're not going to be able to do it in Gilbert. They're not going to be able to do it in Chandler. So they're going to keep heading east until eventually, so they find a city that will allow this to happen. They're going to, all of a sudden, we just might have on every corner if we're the last place and before you get to no man's land out east.
Don't forget about the county islands.
Okay, the county islands. And it's not that we're not restricting. I mean, I will defer back to, we don't allow any more RV storage. We don't allow any more 55 and older mobile home parks. Now, are those things, I mean, are we wrong to do that? Should we let RV storage and storage facilities start rolling in here again? Because, I mean, they're a legitimate business, but we have ordinances that say, hey, we have enough of them. We're not going to have any more. We're not treating them unfairly, so it's just we have our share. I mean, we can't let, every vacant lot to be filled up with I'm not saying this will happen with a marijuana facility, but the point is, the reason why we put these ordinances in place, because we felt we had enough of those type of businesses, and we didn't want to flood our area and the land we do have with those type of businesses. So respectfully, I would disagree with the fact that I don't think by putting language in that prohibits, it's hindering a business, because we have those businesses that we do have ordinance in place that we will no longer allow. So I feel like because of where we are located and the cities just to the west of us and some to the south are not allowing this to happen, it's going to trickle down to Apache Junction. And since we are starting to grow, since that area is going to start getting a lot of population down south, but yet we're not going to be able to put anything there as a proposal. I know it's nothing, set. They're going to start hitting up areas in our city limits as far as it sits now. Like Councilmember Evans was talking about, like the industrial areas. Well, we have a stretch of industrial area down Baseline, Tomahawk to Meridian. Now that is that's the corridor to the new down south development. So it would almost feel as if you reach that point, Baseline in where the industrial area is you're almost going to be looking at two different cities, and that's something we definitely want to avoid. So that's all I got to say. We don't have anything against them. We're not trying to stop them. We have two of them. You can be anywhere in the city within 10 minutes, show up at one of their doors. It's not like there's a line out the door around the building, cars are blocking traffic because there's an overwhelming demand. What we don't need to do is just say, hey, come on, and then let's tie up our Planning and Zoning Commission. Let's tie up our Board of Adjustments. Let's because these people are going to scramble on where to go, because they can't go anywhere west of us until basically Phoenix area, I believe.
Mayor, to 2 points of clarification that I want to make is, one, we have the ability to set where we put them in terms of zoning. So I understand that, Chandler, it starts, the further east, but we can restrict them into the zones that we want them. For instance, I'm not in favor of them being in the B3 zoning because that's our downtown zone. So we can set more restrictions in that. In addition to that, the proposal is they have to be within a certain distance of, a public park or a school or another business. So they're already limited as to where they can go. We keep talking about that they're going to end up on every street corner. In reality, it's great language to throw out there, but it's not entirely accurate. The other piece to that, and I want to clarify, Joel or Bryant, if you could, is yes, we do restrict 55 and over parks and those types of businesses, but are they restricted in terms that council has said there's legitimate ordinance that says we will no longer allow them, or is it zoning administrator decision and no one's brought it to Board of Adjustments to appeal it?
Your Honor, in the sense that you all as a public policy and a practice as a board and council for many boards and city councils, you've made it a practice not to rezone any of those types of uses in the city.
But they could, if I had $70 million and wanted to put in a mobile home park that was 55 and over, I could appeal that decision to the Board of Adjustment.
You could go through the process. That is correct.
So,
Well, you could appeal any process
but
at that point.
correct.
But that's what I'm saying is we've restricted them to the point of appeal. We have not yet had an appeal, but we've restricted them to the point of an appeal. So I don't think we're doing anything different by saying we're not going to allow them, but if you want to appeal it, that's your right to do so. And that follows suit to the no more 55 and over, no more storage lots, et cetera. They have the ability. We just have not had that happen yet.
Your Honor, Braden, here's where I have a problem. You've conflicted in two things that you've said. One, you said you don't want a tale of two cities, and two, you're saying that you don't want to not restrict. It's already being restricted in this master plan community. So at that point, we are creating a tale of two cities. And at this point, if we go down the list and look at the no's, are we going to find 23 of them nearby? No.
But at some point,
I mean, as far as the saying no, we're Robert's right. They've got no place else to go, and to say that we're going to leave this decision on the Board of Appeals, I have to agree with the gentleman who spoke. That is just wrong. To put those folks in this kind of a hot seat and decision, that's not what the board, this is not what the Board of Appeals is for. We have a decision to make, and if these people up here are worried about whether or not they get reelected based on this decision, then we're doing the job the wrong way. We need to make a decision and stand by it and stand by what we decide.
I don't think anybody on this council is worried about getting reelected. I know I'm not regardless, but that has no basis in my decision, so I do take offense to that. My point is, and I think that down the line, if it's in the city code or if it's in the ordinances that we can't have it in the MPC district, is there ever a period of time that a business could not appeal that decision as well? Because if they appeal that decision in 4 years, when we're out of this whole woods with the developers and all of that, then it's not a tale of two cities. They can appeal that decision too. So that's my problem with this is we're damned if we do, and we're damned if we don't. I don't necessarily want to put it on the backs of our Board of Adjustments, but if we're going to talk about the tale of two cities mentality, then we have to look at it on a whole, not just what benefits us right now.
Your Honor.
I was going to ask Kelly.
No, I don't have anything else. I mean, I've pretty much said what I needed to say. I mean, can we call for a motion? I mean, that would be my suggestion.
I'll go through one more time.
I've had my say. I'm ready for a motion.
I just have one last thing to say. I'll make it quick, though. So, based on what you're talking about with the schools and the churches and the regulations, the only logical place that would be for these facilities would be Baseline Road. That is an industrial strip. And that would happen to be the dividing road between the new development and AJ. So it's almost as if, okay, here we are. Okay, now we're back in this part of town.
But that's not true, though. We have all kinds of development down our trails.
By churches and by schools, when you come Baseline, Ironwood, Baseline, Elliott, or Baseline, Idaho, Baseline, Tomahawk, there's nothing going on there. That's just total industrial. And so that would be the area that they would focus on because it's not by schools, it's not by churches. And a problem I would have is that is literally the dividing line between new development and old development. And I wouldn't want that sort of day-night type of crossover between the two.
We allow adult entertainment in those same zones that you're talking about. And they're restricted to those zones only. So it's already the dividing line, yet we allow adult entertainment there. So we're going to allow one and not the other? I mean, I understand all of your guys' arguments, and my views on this have gone from one side to the other and back again, and I understand that as well, but...
I get it. There's, all American, little government, and everybody deserves I get that.
Gail, do you have anything else you want to add before I ask for a motion?
Did you say me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. It's just, no, it's, at this point, I'm just done.
Make a motion.
Okay. All right, I'm going to close our speaking on this, and I'm going to ask for a motion. We're going to have to ask for motions for each one of them. And I'll start with the resolution number 21-13. Can I have a motion? No one's willing to jump forward?
Okay, I'll do it.
I want to make sure I'm motioning on the right one.
Yeah.
Yes, first one, number 8, 21-13.
I move that we direct staff to put new language in the ordinance to prohibit any testing, cultivation, or dispensary in the city limits of Apache Junction.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Nesser?
Basically, what we're doing is we're getting rid of the
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
No.
Councilmember Biggs?
No.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi,
I think we have two facilities here. We've certainly not said that we don't want it in our community, and I'm going to vote yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes, Your Honor, 5-2.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, if I could get a clarification here. So the motion was to prohibit testing, cultivation, and any more dispensaries. That's correct? That's what I heard.
Recreational, medical,
For both types, correct?
Standalone.
standalone, correct.
And that's what you want. You don't really want to do anything else. Is that correct? From any of the other that's presented to you?
Correct.
Okay, then I think the other items, you could, with one motion, you can basically do a motion to table the other items. And then maybe one more motion to direct us to come back at a certain date, so we don't have to republish for the new ordinance that you're gonna want. That probably should have been included in that motion, but we could do a second motion. And then a motion to table the other three items.
Okay, can I have a motion to table numbers, resolution number 2115, number 1502, and 1504?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move to table agenda items 2115, 1502, and 1504.
And set a date?
Well, actually, that'd be a separate motion for the date to bring it back. So,
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
No.
Councilmember Gremmel,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi,
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs,
No.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes, Your Honor, 5-2.
All right, now I need a motion for a new date to bring this all back.
to bring back a new ordinance that does what the first motion did.
Okay.
What would be a good date?
Well, Rudy, with planning, would you say at least a month? How much time do you think is necessary to bring back an ordinance? We don't have to go to P and Z because it's already been to P and Z. So about a month? Okay, so the date? I'd say July 6th would probably be the best date for a public hearing, and that way you don't have to republish.
Not the 20th
20th of what?
of July.
You can?
Any objections there? My
And the-
daughter's birthday's the 6th. I won't be here.
Oh, yeah, the 20th, that would give us more time, actually.
Okay.
Can I have a motion?
I move, well, what would be the motion? I move that
We'll bring this back.
we bring this back on July 20th, 2021, with the changes to the ordinance that were carried out in the first motion,
And that's with the new ordinance number?
which would be,
Well, we'll get one.
right.
Okay.
With the new ordinance number.
Second.
Second, moved and seconded, roll call?
Councilmember Biggs,
No.
Councilmember Evans,
No.
Vice Mayor Rizzi,
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser,
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel,
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes, Your Honor, 5-2.
Okay. Old business, presentation and discussion on award of bid county dog park. Liz?
Good evening, Mayor Wilson, members of council. Liz Langenbach, Parks and Recreation Director. On a happier note, I'm here to talk a little bit about the dog park. I have also today with me Dave Butler, our Parks Maintenance Supervisor, who's also been very involved in the process here. So just a really quick, I'll try to make this as brief as I can. I know it's been a long meeting. Just as a reminder of a few important things. So here is the dog park general conceptual plan. Some of the key elements on our next slide. We are having the wraparound drainage swale in this. We're addressing some major drainage issues at this property, as well as bringing a really much anticipated and needed amenity. The 5-foot fence throughout. We are separating our areas with our double gates and having some different areas for our different sizes and types of dogs. We've incorporated a lot of different components into this, and if we need to go back to this with any questions, we certainly can. This has been talked about for many, many years, but it's been brought back recently in recent years, and these are in the last couple of years, all of the public meetings that we've held, both at City Council and at the Parks and Recreation Commission, in addition to several different citizen subcommittee groups that have come out and visited various our locations and given some ideas. So tonight we're here to talk about our proposal for award of bid. We went out for bid here recently, and we received 8 responsible bids. We're very excited in this environment right now with the prices the way that they are and the construction market out there the way that it is, to receive 8 bids that were really, other than one of them, in the same ballpark of each other. And so we really feel confident that these are some of the best prices that we are going to be able to get at this point in time. The lowest responsible bidder was Shoals Contracting, LLC. They are here in the East Valley, and the base bid for the main part of the park was a little over $1 million. And then the alternate is the 24 by 12 Ramada that we also wanted to kind of find out what that price was. If it wasn't a lot, we really wanted to roll it into be able to get everything done in one swoop. So that's our main, that is our lowest responsible bidder. We met with the representatives of Shoals, and we're very pleased with all of their excitement and interest in this project, and we're very confident in their ability to do the work. Tonight, staff is recommending that we award contract to Shoals Contracting, that we include the base bid, plus the alternate, which is the Ramada, and that we include a 10% contingency for unforeseen change orders. That's pretty standard in most of the construction projects that we do. These prices are a little high. We kind of knew that was coming in. I feel like they are in at a price, though, that is reasonable. And just want to remind everybody that the plan for this is that we are using primarily development fees that we have collected that can only be utilized on parks. Whoops, I jumped right ahead.
She hit the wrong button.
Cuteness.
Yeah.
Yes. Just lost my whole train of thought. Okay.
Development fees.
Thank you. Development fees are our primary use. We are very excited about the development that is going on in our community right now, and we feel that we will be able to have enough to be able to support this. Additionally, it will be supplemented, just like Flatiron Park was, with corporate partnerships that we've already been reaching out to and talking with, as well as several smaller grants that will also help with some of that, rounding out that amount of money. As a reminder, the maintenance and operation of this facility will come out of general fund. That's what we've been talking about all along. But the actual construction that we are going to be awarding is primarily out of our development fees, and then those other minor locations. So kind of the next steps that we are proposing is that we will bring this, we want you to have a chance to hear it tonight, to answer any questions and have a discussion on it. We plan to bring it back on June 15th with consideration of award. In your packet is the actual contract. That is our typical boilerplate that we utilized. And it was in our bid packet. Our contractor has no issues with any of it, and so they've already signed it to prepare for your possible consideration. We will be continuing to outreach with citizen groups. The Parks and Rec Commission will still be involved on programming, marketing, operational stuff. We will be continuing with the revenue development portion. Once we know that we're going to go forward, it'll make it much easier. I just keep hitting that button. That we will be able to show people that we are moving forward with this, that we have a dedicated interest in the park, and that will make it much simpler for us to be able to do our corporate partnership campaign as well as finish up some of the grants that we're applying for. And then the final item was that we would continue with the Public Arts Commission, who we have been working with on having public art installed at this property. With that, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. We are not making a decision tonight. Tonight is a time for discussion.
I just have one. Are we stuck on the name of County Basin Dog Park?
So that should have also been included in here. Our plan is to be going out to the public for a naming kind of contest and then bringing back those options to our Parks and Rec Commission to be recommended to you. And that would be taking place this summer. So absolutely no, we won't be using that name.
Are you going to bring that up to the YAC?
So Youth Advisory Council has been involved in some of our different meetings. They have 2 representatives on our small citizen committee, and so they actually were part of the group that recommended going out to the public and then bringing it back, and they'll get to have some say in it as well.
Anyone else over here?
Your Honor? Oh, go ahead.
Yes.
I was just going to say, unless we hear differently, and depending on your wishes, we'd put it on consent, if that's okay, for June 15th.
Sounds good to me.
Super excited.
Very excited.
We're very excited as well. Thank you very much.
And I like your picture here.
Thank you.
Okay, want to take, I got a request to take a quick break, so we'll do a 5-minute break before we start new business.
It's all done. We've already approved it.
Numbers 14 and 15 up. So the presentation and discussion on resolution 2125. And there's a representative from the state land and DR Horton. Okay?
Mr.
Joel.
Mayor,
Yes.
thank you. Matt, can you put that map up? I'm very pleased to present these next 2 items. And the city manager would probably, he probably wants to do this item, but
But you're not going to let him.
I worked with the state land department and the developer to draft these documents and the resolution, so sorry, Bryant. But you could cut it in any time. This is very exciting for the city. Essentially, and I think Larry Kirch has been up to talk about this issue, but now we're starting to get into the nitty-gritty of it. So, last year, DR Horton purchased essentially the blue area on the map. They paid a lot of money for it, and this will become a master planned community. So, the blue area is called the auction property. That's the land that the state land department opened up to sell. So that's roughly 2,700 acres. The retained area is also part of this project. However, it's not, it hasn't been purchased yet by any developer, but it will be included in the annexation. So what will happen is everything goes smoothly. The city will annex the property. We'll also pass the MPC zoning and also a development agreement that goes with the development of this property. And also with the blue area, what's called community facility districts. And that would be a reimbursements board basically for the developer for some of the infrastructure. So what we have tonight, you have 2 separate resolutions. Well, you have a 2 separate resolutions, one for the auction area and one for the retained area. And that is to pass, because you have to have a resolution to pass a development agreement under state law, under 9-500.05, I believe. And what these do, they're called, it's a PPA, but procedural pre-annexation agreement. So what it really does is the developer needs assurances, as does the state land. Remember, this is the state land. The state owns this property, except for the DR Horton property. However, it's all inclusive. They need assurance that what they're allowing to happen here for development occurs. So what's going to be asked is that the city council pass an annexation ordinance, a planning document called a master plan community, that's the zoning, a development agreement, and also the community facilities district's establishment. And that, what they want that done all at the same time. So what this agreement does, it ensures that that will happen. Now, if it doesn't, then what happens is the developer and also the state land department would like a way to get out of the annexation. That's what this is all developed on, or how it's been created. So unless you want to add something, Bryant, I think that's the basic part of this agreement, on both agreements, the retained and the auction properties.
That's basically it, and I would just add the general plans that voters have voted on over the decades since we've become a city have always envisioned the area south of 60 and into the area of this area to be a master plan community. And so those longtime policy goals have been voted on and viewed at from a community level, and we just voted recently as a community to have that be a master plan community area. So it's consistent with the long-time policy.
Okay, is state land representative or someone from DR Horton would like to add anything?
If you have any questions, I think they're here.
We weren't really here to preparation. But.
Unless they want to speak, yeah. But if you have any questions.
Thank you, Joel. Ed Bull, 1850 North Central, representing the State Land Department. We're good with the presentation. We appreciate working with your staff on these forms of agreements, which we've used in similar settings in other municipalities over the years. I have nothing to add, but we'll stand for questions if you have questions of the State Land Department, or Patrick's here if you have questions of DR Horton.
I see shaking heads of no.
I learned a long time ago I should go sit down before I
You want to say anything as well?
Patrick Brown, Vice President of Land, 20410 North 19th Avenue. This is the first of many meetings that we are going to go through with Planning Commission, the public outreach, staff. We've been working tirelessly with your phenomenal staff to create the framework of the next great master plan community in all of Arizona, and frankly, I'm going to say in the entire country. It's something we're super excited about. I think you guys will be too. More to come, and happy to answer any questions, but it's been really, really fun. I can tell you that both Brookfield as well as DR Horton is very invested in this project, and we can't wait to see dirt getting moved. So, any questions? But appreciate Joel's presentation, and thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
This will be on the June 15th agenda for your consideration and a vote.
Okay. Since we'll do it on the 15th. All right, let's go back to new business number 13, resolution number 2123, authorizing the city to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Gila, there we go, thank you, it said G instead of an H, County.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I'm going to do this one.
Oh, okay.
Misty is not here tonight.
Hello, Misty.
Thank you. No, she's much better looking than me. So,
Thank you.
What this is in the past we've been able to get community development block grant funds, and we do it through CAG. And it's been going down every year. It's federal money that gets sent through the state. And so it's much better to partner up with another entity, because you can do that. You could then add money that they would have gotten the same year, and then you could do a larger project. I'll tell you, fiscal year 20, it was $74,000. Fiscal year 19, it was $91,000. So it's going down. And the estimate this year is around $60,000 for each entity. So we've done this in the past with the town of Payson. And I believe we did that probably 15 years ago for a number of years. And it worked out, and they did get a number of projects out of that, some bigger projects. Because if you have more money, you can have a bigger project. And so basically, that's what this is. This partners up. This IGA will partner up with Gila County. So the first year, the city would get their share plus ours. We estimate that to be around $118,000. The next fiscal year, we basically skip out, and Gila County would get our share. And that's how it would work. And it is a successful program, and we'd ask I think it's coming back on the 15th for a decision. So I don't know if there's any questions. I don't know, Brian, if you have something to add on this?
It's perfect. We used to do it with Payson, and it worked great, and we're down to this serious situation where if you can, this gets so much time and energy from a staff level, whether it's housing, rehab money, or whatever, we would really support the idea of working with one of our partner CAG cities on this.
Okay, anyone have any comments? All right, so I'll be on to the 15th as well. Okay, council, direction to staff. Fiscal year 2021 to 2021, oh, that's pretty good. Health and Human Resource Funding recommendation. Jennifer.
Thank you, Your Honor. 2 weeks ago, the City Council heard from Health and Human Service Commissioners Jeff Mitchell and Mary Erickson. Tonight's item is for City Council to consider moving forward with the recommendation presented by the Health and Human Services Commission, and if so directed, staff will bring back contracts for those nonprofits at the June 15th City Council meeting. As a result of your last discussion, staff will bring forward a work session item at a future date for City Council to discuss the items related to Health and Human Services Commission and the process. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Do I have any discussion from council?
Your Honor.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor, or Vice Mayor, go ahead.
That's okay, go ahead.
Oh.
I'll wait.
So I stand by what I said at the last meeting, at the work session when we discussed this in regards to approving the funding for this year moving forward, but some of the information provided to us for tonight's packet, one thing that really struck me was the funding table and the comparison table over the last 10 years, or roughly 10 years. And I added up all of the agencies, and Superstition Community Food Bank since the 2012-2013 year has received $203,000, the Boys and Girls Club $179,000, the Community Alliance Against Family Abuse $161,000, Horizon Health and Wellness $24,500, Genesis Project $10,500, the CDC $6,000, East Valley Adult Resources for the Apache Junction Senior Center was $114,000, and then United Way was $12,000. So altogether, that's $710,000 spent in the last 10 years. With this year's funding of $80,000, we're going to be just shy of $800,000. And I'm a little concerned by that because I don't know that we have a lot to show for it. I think our local agencies do a lot of great work. I think that there's always room for improvement, but I think when as we discussed over at our last meeting quite extensively, needs for change, when we're talking about $800,000 over a 10-year period of time, that's a lot of money to do a lot of good and really set council priorities. And again, former Councilmember Struble really has opened my eyes in a lot of different ways to these things, and really being able to see the numbers, in addition to my own experience in the nonprofit field professionally, I take a different approach to this now. I'm really looking at this differently. And I think if we're going to be spending this kind of money and hopefully we can grow this budget, I want to see this funding continue. I've advocated that I want to see it at a minimum of $100,000 every year in addition to what we give for the Senior Services Center, that we as council really need to set some solid priorities and goals and attainable outcomes for this money for our agencies. And when I see that, for instance, the food bank and the Boys and Girls Club, the food bank every year since 2012 has gotten 25,000, 30,000, 32,000, 32,000, 32,000, 7,000. I know what happened there, but then back up to 33,000 and 24,000. And yes, it's great that they're being able to purchase food and provide that to the community. That's obviously needed. But at the same token, what are they doing to reduce the line and reduce dependency on these services and on these agencies? And I think that council really needs to look at that. And I know that we've talked about having a potential meeting with the a joint meeting with the Health and Human Services Commission and our agencies. But when I'm seeing $800,000 rolling out in a period of time, and I'm not really seeing a whole lot of benefit to the community on a grand scale, I begin to question these things. So I just wanted to put that out there for possible discussion and get other council members' thoughts as well.
Mayor,
Yes, Gail.
my thoughts are it's really hard to see kids eat. And I don't know what you would anticipate seeing with the 800,000 other than not seeing hungry children or not seeing children being cared for at the Boys and Girls Club or getting showers. I don't, it does not equate to what the Health and Human Services provides for the community is necessarily a tangible, visible thing. And I would hate to see it. Once again, we can't micromanage what these agencies do with every penny that we give them, but what they do for a whole as the community, it would be tragic if we didn't have it. It would truly be a travesty if we didn't try to help our citizens be able to just say that they ate something today. And I understand Jeff Strubel's ideas on it, but whenever the funding gets cut to cities, it's cut to nonprofits before it's even cut to the city. And the unfortunate part, when I was involved when it was Mountain Health and Wellness, the state has a really funny idea that a nonprofit can have a budget and they can project X number of dollars to you throughout the year, but they also can pull it. And it's not a guarantee of anything. And I wouldn't want to change one thing about helping kids and adults in our community from going hungry. I think that's a really small thing that the city, with the amount of budget that we do have, that we can't provide a small outreach to any of these organizations.
Robert?
I guess this is more of a question for Councilman Biggs. So you're suggesting to put on the agenda for the 21-22, just approve this particular contract and then start having discussion on it down the road for the 22-23 year?
Correct. I don't think the agencies have gone through this process to apply. All of them, again, guys, I work in this field. I know what this field is like. Heck, I've used this funding before. I'm not advocating getting rid of it. I'm certainly not devaluing the work that Boys and Girls Club or Genesis or anybody does. What I'm saying is that if we're doling out money for it to appear that the city is doing good, this is taxpayer dollars. There's nothing wrong with saying that, we want to tackle the homeless problem. That's an achievable goal if done correctly. There's nothing wrong with saying that we want to tackle hunger in seniors. We're doing that. What I'm simply saying is I want us to have some accountability to our nonprofits and outcomes. And when we say that we can't restrict the money, well, yes, we can. We're the ones giving it. We can absolutely restrict this money and say that you must achieve these things. For the same thing, if we gave the CDC $20,000 and we said that you have to go clean up 15 properties, that's the expectation. We're expecting blight cleanup in our community with that $20,000. There's a goal. There's a purpose behind that. So that's what I'm looking for is more discussion. So yes, Robert, to answer your question, I do want this brought back. I do want more discussion with our nonprofit partners, with our Health and Human Services Commission, and for council to really come up with a plan on what we want this funding to be used for.
So you're championing for the 22-23 fiscal budget?
I'm championing for future budgets.
Right.
But the current budget, the 21-22 budget, I am fine with approving the $80,000 as recommended by Health and Human Services.
Yeah, but let's start opening up a dialogue.
Correct. Yes.
Krista?
I agree with Braden in that I think it's time to have some discussions. Is this on? Here we go. I think it's time for council to have some discussions and look at what's coming out of the funding and where the funding for Health and Human Services is going. And it may be time to revamp and reshape that funding process. There is accountability. I did serve on that board for a while. I volunteered with a lot of the nonprofits that receive funding. I by no means would suggest that we cut the funding to assist people. Where I'm struggling is that we've been doing the same thing forever, and we really haven't brought it for discussion, and I think it's time for that. There is accountability through our Health and Human Services Board and through our city clerk, but there's a difference between tangible results and services, and it's really hard to track down services to see where the benefit is happening to the public. And here, where I struggle is with our homeless issue. We have a homeless issue here like every other community. It's no different. And we keep hearing, well, we have to build shelters, there's nothing we can do. Well, with $80,000 or even $20,000 through our faith-based community, there are things that we can do if we were to direct some of this funding to get people off of our streets. Is it going to solve the problem? Probably not. But there are people currently on our streets that have been there for that could be off our streets. And so I think it is time to look at it and possibly consider taking some of these agencies and weaning them off over a 2 or 3 year period and saying, okay, we're going to every year look at this and a little bit less and a little bit less, to the point where the same agencies are not dependent on the city for that funding. At some point, like a small business, they have to be self-sustaining. And so when I see that we have a homeless issue, and really, for the most part, nothing's been done over how many decades here in our community as far as really getting people off the streets, really housing, helping veterans. We got to take a look at this and say, the food bank, absolutely. You can see there's, but when we're looking at some of the services here, it's really hard to track down and follow the money on services being provided. So I agree with Braden. I'm not saying by any means to do away with it or abolish it. I'm saying it's time to open up the dialogue and have conversation about the whole board and the whole funding. So.
Yes.
I don't think it would hurt to look at this, because none of us, other than maybe Krista, has ever been on Health and Human Services. So to say, should we look at this, probably wouldn't hurt. As far as accountability, if you look at the about a dozen-page application form, if it's completed, that pretty much gives you the accountability, because when they are applying, they're giving you that information. There's all these questions on, like I say, about a dozen pages where they have to tell all kinds of information. Kind of lost my train of thought, but one of the things that somebody mentioned, and I can't remember where I read it or who mentioned it in the last couple weeks of discussions, was about some of these agencies being every year applying. Maybe we need to look at a method where you can only apply for 3 years or without maybe stepping down for a year or two before you can apply again. There's all kinds of things that we could look at as far as that's concerned. I'm not saying it's good or bad that somebody applies every year. That it's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm not saying it's a good thing either. So I do believe that we should put this on a future agenda to at least look at and address to see. One of the things, if anything, with our budget, I don't know the exact figures, I don't have them off the top of my head, but, you know, we're only allotting $80,000. That's not a whole lot of money in the grand scheme of things. If there was a way to actually do more that would not only be this and could cover anything like homeless situation or any of the other issues we have, you know, what the thought going through my mind is, are we just playing games and acting like we're, you know, really good people because we're giving 80,000? You know, well, is that even reasonable? You know what I mean? Maybe it should be 180,000. I don't have a figure, you know, but as much as I like Jeff Struble, I can't agree with him that that it is not government's job to help its community, because I think that's our job, is to help our community. Everything we do, I mean, we fix roads. We're not doing it for the government. We're doing it for the community, you know. So everything we do is for our community and to better our community. And whoever said, you know, Gail, I think about feeding our kids, it's important, you know. So
Absolutely.
I think we really need to look at this to see, are these agencies who are applying year after year after year, should they be allowed to do that? And is there any guidelines that we should go by? And the questions that we ask. I mean, I don't know when the last time these forms were ever updated. I have no idea how old they are, but maybe it's time to look at that, and maybe it's time to look at the amount. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Mayor, I would pretty much agree with what everybody else is saying without getting really long-winded. I think it is a good idea that we just look at what we've got and what we have been doing and see if there's a way to make it better. And I do have to say I am concerned about possibly, you know, the state shared revenues being cut and how that's going to affect us as a city and the other costs that are associated with running the city. So I think it's smart that we take a look.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. I don't know if there's one in here, is there?
16.
I'm not anywhere near there.
Tess, I can do it if anything.
Well, can we make a motion that also includes on putting this on a future agenda, Joe, besides the motion that's here?
Your Honor, Your Honor, if I can, I would just strongly encourage, before we go do an agenda, and
Okay.
before we go do that, you have a retreat.
Okay.
I will tell you as I listen to be very confused. Because one minute we're saying, let's do more with government money. We may need to do 100,000, 150,000. And then the next minute we're saying we want less government. And it's from a staff perspective that throws us curveballs. And I think it's a retreat item because I think it's an opportunity to set the policy even before you have the discussion of, well, why did we do it? Why is it hardwired in your code? Why did we ever have a Health and Human Services?
I don't think any of us know the real.
I think we need to start from there. That usually these type of policy things you can adjust, but you're going to have to change your city code on how you do this. Why is the food bank on there every year? We started it. We asked our community to do this. If you go look on the building, it says City of AJ in conjunction with Apache Junction Food Bank. So I think we need to explore. I think we need to decide why we would set aside ever these tax dollars, and then start to articulate a policy that would help us understand how you want to implement. Then for governance purposes, why you had a Health and Human Services Commission, and what is their role, and then the contracts. So I think we can start that public policy discussion. I think there's a major shift happening, and I think that's exactly what we need. So from my perspective, I just hope it's part of the retreat. I don't think you need to wait. You need to have another item. You don't have to have another agenda. It's on for your discussion in the retreat, and I think we could start that right away Friday.
Okay, I'll just make then, I move that the following directions to staff be that the contracts for the nonprofit organizations be placed on the June 15th council agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Whoops, yes.
Thank you. Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously, Your Honor.
Okay. I lost my place here. Do I have a motion for the next meeting?
You all fell asleep there, Your Honor.
So did mine.
Yes.
I move that an executive session at 6 p.m. for Monday, June 14th, and Tuesday, June 15th, 2021, be held in the City Council Conference Room located at 300 East Superstition Boulevard in Apache Junction, Arizona, and other meetings be scheduled as necessary.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel?
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously, Your Honor.
Okay, call to public. I would like to remind everyone the call to the public is a courtesy and is not required by law. It is a time for the public to express requests, communications, comments, and suggestions. Requests to speak forms must have been completed and handed in to city clerk before the end of the city manager's report. All issues shall be presented in a professional manner without personal attacks. Under the open meeting law, the council cannot engage in a discussion on issues presented, but may respond to criticism and may direct staff to follow up with the speaker directly and/or place the matter on future agenda for council discussion. There's a 3-minute time for each speaker, and I have 2. Mr. Jeffrey, Leonard Jeffrey. And give us your name and address.
My name is Leonard Jeffrey, and I still don't have an address. But I like what you're talking about, and you got a racehorse here trying to run to help the homeless veterans, but I can't get turned loose. Here's copies. You can give that to everyone. Because there's been some rumors going around saying that my other properties didn't get permits, I don't have contractor's license, I'm doing illegal stuff. Well, unfortunately, there's nothing I've done illegal. The only thing illegal is what the city's been doing to me. They give me a property with another person's address. They illegally red tag me where I can't work. And by the way, I would have had 2 rooms done and 2 homeless veterans in those rooms right now if they'd let me work. But I was red tagged and still put the other person's address. Now that first paper, that's my address. That's SRP.
Right.
is that what he originally put that meter in. I have a commercial meter, I have commercial electric. Therefore, I can't be residential property. Another thing, I can't defraud the taxes by saying I'm residential or multifamily. Any rooms that are more than 6 rooms has to be considered commercial. I have to pay commercial taxes on that property. I cannot be forced to go residential. But if we would recognize the property as being commercial, as it's always been commercial, it's never been nothing but commercial, then I am legal to do what I'm doing. Now, my other properties, I had to get a permit to put electricity. You'll see the permit because it did not have electric panel. This property has sewer, water, electric, everything. All we're doing is interior work. It's got a nice roof, nice block walls. Basically, I'm not making it any bigger. I don't need no major permits. I don't need no thousands of dollars for an architect to design it. It's not a new build. I'm not making anything. I'm just doing the interior. Now, I could have already had 2 veterans in there, homeless veterans. And I've got enough nice rooms to have almost 320 square foot rooms for each person. But all I'm wanting is to be turned loose so I can do my job. I'm not wanting money from the city like everyone else is. I'm just wanting to be able to work on my own property that I bought and I purchased. Nobody's giving me any money. I'm furnishing my own money from my paving company. And the type of people, some of these are good people. I collected a check from one of my facilities in Mesa today, and the guy, the city was supposed to pay for him, and you can see where the city says Anthony. He told him he didn't want him paying for it. He didn't feel right. He's paying his own rent now because he's got a job.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Schroeder.
George Schroeder, 2444 West Virginia. Just add to what he's saying. Anybody see the lady on the sidewalk again on the way here? 2 years she's been there. Morning, noon, night, and day. Banner say they're a nonprofit. All the churches say they're nonprofit. The only 2 churches I'm seeing any help in the last 40 years to this city is the Methodist and St. George's Church. That's it. If somebody can prove me different, go ahead. They're not contributing in any way.
Interesting.
Now, in terms of the money, it's a sticky wicket. You need more, but if you get more, you always want more, which is what Braden is saying. We need a lot more. 13 has to do with code enforcement. 3 or 13 projects a month. We got 4,000. We're never going to reach it, okay? We need to step it up on the code enforcement. We need to step it up on the cleanups. My neighbor, 2468, she tried to commit suicide. Every homeless and drug addict in the area is trying to get in there and steal everything she got. It's full of clothes all the way around. Code enforcement can see it. They've done nothing. They haven't even been out there to look at it. It's sad. We used to have communities of Lions and churches and other community organizations that really got involved, gave money, gave time, didn't ask anything. What else can I do? What more can I do to help? See, I'm one of those people, except I'm here and not out there. Giving money to entities like the county deals. The county and the feds already give money to pay for their place of work, their paper clips, their pencils. They already give them money. So $80,000 is nothing compared to what we need. We do need $200,000-300,000 every year. I want to get it from Apollo Investment Corporation. That's my favorite people. Yeah, we want their money. We want to take it from them. Ask them first. They might. I doubt it, but they might. So we need to be thinking outside the box here with getting money from these entities. Now, as far as asking people questions, wrong answer. I ask any question, anytime, anywhere, of anyone about whatever I want. That is my inalienable right. And if somebody thinks they can stop me, have at it.
Any comments?
Your Honor?
Yes.
Can we direct staff to work with, the first name is Jeffrey, excuse me, to get some clarification there, please? I know that they've been working with them. Can we please get some clarification on that?
Certainly.
And come up with some resolution?
Yes.
Thank you.
Adjourn our meeting. Thank you.